Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Classically Chloe Show. I'm so happy you could join me today. I have another fantastic guest for you. My friend, singer and songwriter Hadas Levy is joining us today. Hadas is quite a talented musician, an amazing songwriter, and I'm so glad you could join us. Hadas, welcome to the show and happy Hanukkah.
Hi, Chloe. How are you? Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. It's a great time to celebrate right now.
I know, it's full of great holidays right now, right? Well, I'm so glad you could
Yeah.
join me, Hadas. So, let's just jump right into this discussion. So, Hadas and I did an album together a few months ago called Country to Save. And the intention was for the first song on the album to be, the title of the album, Country to Save. It was a fantastic ballad. Hadas actually composed it on the airplane ride over to the studio and surprised me with, let's do this song instead. And so we had a great time creating that and all that kind of stuff. And then, that was a plan about maybe, what was it, like 7 or 8 other songs in the album or something like that. And we created the whole album, had a great time together in the studio, just so much fun. And then Country to Say was released. It performed actually quite well. And then soon after that, the producer on the album and also someone who's also on the album as well, Forgiato, our good friend Forgiato Blow, all of his music was deplatformed. And so it was kind of a shock. It was kind of quite the out of the starting gates for me for my first song ever to be deplatformed. And I think Hadas probably had a little bit of prior experience in this. And so, anyway, so the song was deplatformed. The entire album actually came out and stayed for a while. And a lot of Hadas's music was also deplatformed, unfortunately, because it was a fantastic album she had out before. And so I want to play some of the music from these albums that was so unfairly deplatformed, and then now it is actually returned. So let's play a couple of these songs, and then we'll start talking to Hadas.
Redhead stays on, redhead stays on. Take 'em back on freedom, back to where we started. We're wearing our red hat tonight. It takes more than just a feeling. Oh, better be believing, and America's gonna be alright. That's what I say. These are the days of mega revolution. It's more than a hat, it's a symbol of freedom. And Donald Trump is our only solution. So let's raise a glass, make a toast to our freedom. Cheers. We come way too far, nothing stands in our way. We get Trump back in office and Joe on his way. We're doing it right, the American way. And if you don't know, MAGA's here to stay. What do you do when they come for you? Freedom's what you gotta lose. Red hat stays on, red hat stays on. What do you do when the gas is high? Inflation's up in the sky. Red hat stays on, red hat stays on. And I don't care how they look at me in the deepest heart of a blue city. Red hat stays on, red hat stays on. And I know when you smile you like what you see. If you love America you'll agree. Red hat stays on, red hat stays on.
What do you do when they try to cancel you? MAGA Nation, we cancel proof. My red hat stays on, my red hat stays on. You know I love God, but in Trump I trust. November 5th, he gon' ride.
Time, baby. Goodbye, Joe. It's time you hit the road. Sayonara, end of quote. It's Trump time, baby. So FJB, we want DJT. Sing it 1, 2, 3. This is Trump time, baby. FJB, we want DJT. Sing it 1, 2, 3. This is Trump time, baby. Uptown, downtown, everywhere you go, it's Trump town. Uptown, downtown, everywhere.
So I think it's safe to say Hadas has the best MAGA party music out there. So Hadas, what was like creating
it was
that?
so
It was
much fun.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, it was so much fun. I mean, we went into the studio, and I think it was like probably 3 days in the studio was all it took to make that album. I pretty much wrote everything like, 3 songs a day, and we just recorded them right then and there. Forgiato comes up with his rap super quick too. And it was just, we just wanted to make it exciting and fun and have great music for everyone to get pumped for the election. I think, all of America, almost all of America was really excited to put Trump back in the White House. So we needed him, and thank God he won. Thank God he's coming back. It's so exciting. In less than a month, he'll be back in the White House. And we we're so excited to make so much good music for it. It was so cool.
It really was, and it's so cool to be a part of that time. I think in history too. Just the fun that music was just really something at the times. To have all this energy around the MAGA movement beyond just the music that Trump has. It's like the old tunes that are also great, but the patriots like yourself and like Forgiato that came out there and actually created their own music for the times for this specific movement. I think was really awesome. So I'm so happy you made all that music and it was so much fun. When you came out with that album, that was your second album, I think, right? Because you had your first album, then the one with I think that one, then ours came out after that, something like that. Anyway, when you came out with that album, I just like had it on repeat the whole thing for like a week. It was so much fun. But so Hadas, let's talk a little bit. I'm so sorry. What'd you say?
Oh no, I said thank you.
So tell us about this deplatforming thing. I kind of talked about it a little bit though. So what happened? How'd you hear about it? Was it kind of a shock? Were you expecting it? How did that kind of go down?
I found out because I remember somebody telling me they tried playing my song and it's not there. They can't find it anywhere. So I went to check out for myself and I saw it wasn't there. And I called Forgiato and he's like, yeah, everything that was going through my distribution has been removed. So since our album was also going through his distribution, it was removed as well. As well as our song Country to Save, which was released before the album. So we had the issue, it's back up now. I don't think we'll have that issue. It's crazy how much they try to censor and do everything that they can. But now that Trump is elected and we have Elon Musk and we have all of these great people that are gonna be part of his cabinet, and I think that the censorship is one of the main things that they're going to be putting an end to. This country was built on free speech, and all of the censorship that's been going on for the past several years has got to come to an end. It really does.
When you're talking about, I guess, the free speech, this is going to maybe get a little controversial. I want to talk about this, though. As far as the conservative movement goes, I am 100% for free speech. Of course, I believe in our Constitution. I believe in the American values that are on our Constitution, and I think that one thing that the conservatives seem to kind of miss a lot of times is where and what places, it's kind of time for the free speech not to not be free, but at what point, I guess, in music and in art do we say as a society this is or isn't okay? It doesn't necessarily mean it's censored or taken down or deplatformed. It's America, you can do what you want. But at what point, as conservatives, do we put an end to the insanity that's going on? Like, for example, the transgenderism and the all that ideology and the wokeism that's just infiltrated our entire culture, for that matter, especially the music culture. At what point, as conservatives, especially out of concern for the next generations, do we kind of take a look at what's coming out of Hollywood and out of the music industry and not necessarily put a legal stop to it, but just kind of discuss this is going wrong, or is it okay, or just what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, when it comes to pop culture, this isn't something that just started. This has been happening for a long time. If you look back at Madonna and Katy Perry and a lot of these pop artists, they've always been trying to push the envelope. At this point, it's like, where do they go from there? They have to get more and more extreme, and that's where they bring in this like Satanism and all of these very ungodly and just vulgar sexuality just thrown in our faces. A lot of people don't even really like it, so a lot of people just don't even want to look at that. But I think the main issue here isn't about being gay or transgender. It's about pushing it onto the children. When classrooms that are supposed to be keeping our children safe and at school are bringing sex into the classroom and trying to, push that on children, that's when it's a huge problem. Like, school should be a safe place. Parents shouldn't have to be worried about teachers indoctrinating children, teaching them, or even promoting their sexuality, changing their genders. All of that stuff is where we have to draw the line. I think that sex should be, out of the schools. It shouldn't be, teachers shouldn't be teaching any kind of sexual promotion in the classroom. That's what I really, truly believe. When it comes to music and art and pop culture, I really think that it's up to the parents to kind of keep an eye on what their children are watching and listening to, because it's going to always be out there. And, this is when parents have to step in and really keep an eye on what their children are listening to and watching on TV and on YouTube. There's so many kids on their iPads, looking at social media, looking at YouTube. And if you don't, check and observe and see what your children are doing and looking at, then they're gonna see it for themselves. It's kind of hard to keep them away from that at this point.
I totally agree with you. And it's sad too, because even if the parent makes a choice, take the iPads away and have no technology and no social media and whatever they say to do at home, their kids are still going to be influenced by this and exposed to this just, in society, because it's not a matter of just that, oh, it exists and it's out there and like it always has been. And I agree with you that it will always be there. I think right now it's at a different level though, in some ways, like the intensity of the, I guess, leftist agenda has really infiltrated way beyond just, where it used to stay kind of in this adult area or that adult area or whatever. Now it's like it's kids main entertainment, if that makes sense. It's not just like, oh, they might find it out there. It's like it's their main source of entertainment. Like, look at Sabrina Carpenter, for example. Her music's fun, it's upbeat, it's exciting, it's it looks girly and it's appealing to girls and women. And then you see what she's talking about, and it's like, wait a minute, can we kind of, tone this down a little bit? Or are there any Sabrina Carpenter alternatives or anything like that, And so I think that beyond just talking about, oh, this particular song of hers is extra vulgar or terrible and we shouldn't listen to it or whatever, I personally don't think that's really going to go very far. I think more what we need out there is musicians and artists who are going to be willing to create that kind of music that has better messaging and that has better values backing it, to take back our culture, or to just at least fill it with something that's a little bit more decent, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I think, and that's the best way to combat that, is to put out music that sounds really good, that has the same kind of pop, fun beat, something that's exciting and entertaining, but with a good message, because if all they have to listen to that's fun and exciting and pretty and poppy, and this is with a terrible message, we need something to combat that. So it's not all, this very vulgar, distasteful music that's coming out of the pop world. That's why I actually made that whole album, November 5th, very poppy and happy and dancey, because it's like, that's the type of music that I do like to listen to. But I also, the message should be an important message. And this message was very important because it was about getting Trump back in office, which was the most important thing. That was the most important thing to happen. And thank God he was reelected. And, that's something that we have to be very excited about. That's like the first step in order for all of these other things to fall into place. That was like the number one thing that had to happen.
Absolutely. So, Hadas, let's take a quick ad break here, and then let's get back and talk about what you're doing next with your music, because I hope your music isn't going anywhere, because you're fantastic and I love it. So let's talk some more about your performance you've been performing, and about your maybe new music coming out, all that kind of stuff. Real quick, let's do an ad break. We'll be right back with Hadas.
Sounds rolling. All 3 cameras. We're good.
Handing speed.
Is there any regrets that you have in life? I should sit here and say, yeah, I got a lot of regrets. But when I look back on my life and I understand the lives that were lost, I mean, I'm sitting here with you. And I can tell my story.
Former National Security Advisor, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, pleaded guilty today to lying to the FBI.
He was one of the most respected generals in the military.
He was, by definition, the most dangerous possible person for Donald Trump to hire.
Brilliant military career, serving 33 years.
Why was he being so elusive?
Mike Flynn told the truth and faced life in prison.
Every American needs this historical DVD keepsake. Flynn delivered the truth, whatever the cost. Hand signed by General Michael Flynn, one of America's most treasured military heroes. Order now at the Patriot TV store. Go to Patriot TV, click on Store, and grab a once-in-a-lifetime chance to own a treasured piece of American history, and get your own personal download link to watch America's most talked-about movie, as well as a DVD hand-signed by General Michael Flynn. Use promo code PTV at checkout to get special savings. The Patriot TV Store. Incredible savings and a secure, hassle-free shopping experience.
Throughout history, the spirit of patriotism has prevailed. The battles may have changed, but the values remain the same. Today, in 2024, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment where the call for unity, freedom, and a better future echoes louder than ever. For more than 10 years, Patriot Mobile has been committed to supporting the values that make our nation great. With affordable plans and reliable nationwide coverage, Patriot Mobile is not just a wireless service. It's a call to action for those who believe in the American dream. Because this year is not just any year, it's the most important year since our nation's founding. Choose a wireless carrier that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Welcome back to the show, Hadas. So tell us about your recent performances. You've been at Mar-a-Lago, I think, a few times performing some of your recent songs. Tell us what that has been like, and also just any other performances. I think you performed for our vice president as well. What was that like? Just all the details on your recent performances. Let's hear about it.
Yeah, no, I performed at a JD Vance rally in Michigan just before the election, and I got to meet JD, and he came with his wife, and he's such a great VP pick. I honestly, when I met him, I thought he looked so presidential. He's a great speaker, and I think that he is just such an amazing vice president. Donald Trump did a great job with his VP pick. So that was awesome. And I also performed for Big Dog Ranch Rescue at Mar-a-Lago. Big Dog Ranch Rescue is amazing. They save so many animals. We actually ended up adopting a puppy that night, a little Cocker Spaniel named Maggie. She's so sweet. And so we took her home, but that was fun. I got to perform a lot of the original songs that me and Forgiato did. Forgiato was there performing along with me, and I have a couple more shows in January in Mar-a-Lago, and also I'm performing for the Friends of IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, and hoping to get back in the studio soon. I'm just right now enjoying my time with my kids at home, and the holidays, they're off from school, so I'm just having a really good time spending some time with my family. It was a busy year working on all that music, so right now we're kind of just relaxing.
That's fantastic. So I have so much fun whenever I see you at Mar-a-Lago perform. I think I've seen you in person once at Mar-a-Lago when you performed the national anthem, and it was incredible. I was like, mind blown. It was so gorgeous. Your voice is so incredibly powerful, and it was so much fun to then get in the studio with you pretty soon after that, actually. And it was so awesome just to get to combine the piano and your amazing voice together. Was really an honor actually to work with you. And so what's your favorite thing about performing at Mar-a-Lago? That what's the best thing about it? Is it the venue? Is it the people? And how is your music received? Because I'm sure has a fantastic reception. So what's that like?
Yeah, I mean, Mar-a-Lago is beautiful. You've been there, you've seen it's absolutely gorgeous. It's the president's house, that's where he lives, and of course it's going to be amazing. The acoustics in Mar-a-Lago are so good. So I love just performing in the main ballroom over there because the acoustics are amazing. It's just a very, it's awesome. I love performing everywhere, but performing in Mar-a-Lago is a very unique and amazing experience. And I think though the best thing about really like all of these performances is actually just getting to work with other amazing musicians like you, Chloe. It was so fun working in the studio with you. You're such an amazing pianist, and you have an amazing singing voice that you didn't even know you had. I think that was like your first singing was when we did Country to Save, and you made that song. Like your voice is so pretty, and the piano, you're just a very talented young lady, and I really enjoyed working with you. So it was great.
You're so sweet. I think I've told the story a million times. I won't do it again, but that was a hilarious story of getting me to sing for Jad. I remember cornered me in the studio and was like, can you sing? And I was like, no, I can't sing, and finally I got me on the microphone and you had us so patiently coached me through figuring out how to sing and sing through a cold and everything. So it was really fun,
Yeah.
Hadas. And I guess
I was like,
I
no,
guess I can
she
technically
can
say
sing.
you're my
As soon as I heard, I'm like, no, she can sing. She's good. She's doing it. She's singing the verse.
You were so
so
encouraging. I guess I can call you my first vocal coach officially.
Yeah. Oh, that makes me feel special. Yeah, that was so fun. And even when we recorded the national anthem, and it was just live with the piano and me singing with the other microphones on top, and it was just like, one take or two takes. That was just such an amazing experience. That was so fun.
It really was, and it was really hilarious, I thought, too, because before we actually did that live, our sound engineer, Casey, was putting up all the mics and, preparing the whole room and setting it up for the piano and everything, and you kept singing the national anthem over and over and over and over again, like, all the way through at the top of your lungs, like, full power every time, and I was like, "Surely you're gonna get, like, exhausted by the time we actually do the take," you know? I mean, how in the world are you gonna actually manage to sing this, like, 10 times and still have the same power in your voice? And sure enough, you did it. You were fantastic. I was like 2 takes or so on the piano, and it was really an incredible take. So it was really awesome hearing how many times you can actually belt out the national anthem with just as much power every single time.
I think I've sang the national anthem so many times that my vocal cords are very comfortable, even though it's very, like, the range is very high. My vocal cords have gotten trained to sing that exact song in that exact key and in those notes so many times that it's just I could sing it over and over and over again. It's like a muscle memory. So it's,
It's
it's just
super
fallen into, yeah.
super natural for you. How old were you when you started singing?
So I was 8 when I started singing at school plays, and I was 12 when I started singing professionally with a vocal coach. And my vocal coach was actually an opera teacher, so she would always try to recommend I sing opera. She said, "You have the range for it," but I was just interested in singing pop music, and I stayed in that kind of vocalist. I would sing Whitney Houston and Celine Dion songs, and Fleetwood Mac and Janis Joplin, and just big kind of vocalist, singers, but never did I do opera. And then I was signed to Epic Records when I was 16, and that's when I started writing a lot of music as well. I wrote for like a few years, and I did some music for commercials and TV and stuff of that sort. So I kind of, became a singer-songwriter in my teen years.
Who would you say is your biggest influence as a musician?
I don't really have one influence. I loved, like, for instance, my first album that I owned was the Beach Boys. I wanted to get Madonna, the Immaculate Collection. I was 6, and I went to Tower Records with my dad, and I gave him the Madonna album, and he's like, "No, no, 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 you're not getting Madonna. There's no way." He's like, here's your album," and I was supposed to pick it out, but he ended up picking out the Beach Boys, the greatest hits. And it was a CD player back then. I didn't have options to just go through and pick. That was it. That was my CD, and that was what I got to listen to. And I remember listening to every song on that album over and over and over again. So I memorized every single song. And soon after that, I also got into Elton John and Dolly Parton and Patsy Cline. I think Patsy Cline was probably one of the first songs was Crazy that I sang live. And I also used to sing at a country club called the Palomino in North Hollywood, California. And every Thursday they had open mic. So it was country. Like, I think Elvis performed there, Linda Ronstadt performed there, and it was like kind of like an old, it was like an old famous kind of country bar there. So every Thursday I'd go and I would perform a song, and they were songs like Patsy and Linda Ronstadt and kind of that country western style. So that, along with the pop, is kind of what my influences were.
That's really awesome, and I love Patsy Cline. I think we sang some Patsy Cline in the studio together, actually.
Yeah, we
It was
did.
a little impromptu concert.
I Fall to
That was
Pieces,
really fun.
I think it was, or I Go Walking After Midnight.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That's super cool. So, yeah, I've always been a huge Patsy Cline fan. That's really a neat experience to hear about too. So let me ask you, for moving forward with your music now. I know you said you're taking a little bit of a break now, but after your break, because I know we all want to hear you again.
Yeah.
After the break,
I
what do you
love
think the
writing.
music's going to be? Yeah, what do you think the music's going to be? Is it going to be more America first?
It's
Sorry,
always
we
going
cutting
to
out
be
here?
America first. It's always going to be America first, because that's honestly the only reason I started singing again. I stopped singing for 15 years. Like, I was singing until I was about 24 years old, and I completely stopped singing. And the only thing that really made me want to get back in the studio and write again was, everything going on in the country and the world. So I think, the message that's going to keep me going is just about the things that I believe in, America, life, happiness, but that's pretty much, whatever I'm feeling at the time. I'm sure something's going to get me back in the studio. in the next few months or so, I'll have some kind of something to write about.
Absolutely. So I guess to give my audience a little bit of advice, any young musicians, any especially young conservative musicians, because we really have quite a little challenge ahead of us with the censorship. Hopefully, it'll all get better with Trump back in office. I really am. I think it's very promising there. But tell my audience something. A little bit of your advice, just for as far as staying true to yourself, but also true to your values and the importance of that. And just what's your whole take on becoming a singer and songwriter? I guess while staying true to those values and not selling out to the temptations of the left, I guess you could call it.
I mean, look, right now, everybody has the ability to put their stuff out there without, having to go through somebody else telling them what to do. You can put your stuff on social media. You can look at you, you're 18 years old, you have a podcast, you make your music, and you're doing it. You just have to know what you want and do it. And if you love what you do, it should be very easy to, do everything, work hard and keep going and keep putting out there what you believe in. And I think if you don't give up, you just end up succeeding. That's what I really think. So
That's great advice. And so closing out here, Hadas, tell my audience where they can find you. Tell my audience, I guess, what they should be looking forward to with your music. Where can they find it all, and all that kind of stuff.
So all of my music is on all the music platforms. It's on Amazon, on Apple, on Spotify, YouTube, Instagram. I have is Hadas_Levy777. I'm on Facebook. I post all my stuff there. So you can find me there, and definitely, look out for more music to come. I'm going to be getting back in the studio in a few months after I take this little break and spend time with my little kiddos. And so thank you so much for having me, though, Chloe. It was great.
Of course, Hadas. Thank you so much for coming on, and great to see you. Let's get in the studio again another time for the two of us. I think it'd be fantastic to do another album at some point.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you so much, Chloe. Happy New Year.
Thank you so much for watching that episode. Please subscribe to the podcast on Rumble, Spotify, and YouTube to stay up to date on all the latest episodes. Please also follow me at classically_Chloe on Instagram and classically Chloe on all other platforms. See you next week. God bless.
I can hear the cries of a broken crowd. Yeah, we're hurting now in this American town. I couldn't stand there and listen. Now I'm out on a mission. Are you with me? Can you hear me? 'Cause the enemy's trying to break us, but only God above can save us in our darkest